three, four, and one.
Fountain. Here are my wishes. Fountain. Here are my wishes.
And a radish veggie soup.
One, two, breathe. Three, four, and one.
Fountain. Here are my wishes.
One, two, three, four, two, two, three, four.
Fountain. Here are my wishes.
Hey, do you know what? Neither do I. I
Fountain.
already forgot.
Here are my wishes.
One, two, breathe. Three, four, and one.
Fountain. Here are my wishes. I don't want to add to Anthony's troubles.
One, two, breathe. Three, four, and one.
I don't want to add to Anthony's troubles.
Let's go somewhere cooler.
Fountain. Here are my wishes.
One, two, breathe. Three, four, and one. you know what? Neither do I. I already forgot.
Hear my wishes.
One, two, breathe, 3, 4,
Hear my wishes. Fountain. Hear my wishes.
Expecto
Let's go
Patronum!
cooler.
Fountain. Hear my wishes.
I don't know why it started muted, but thank you very much for telling me.
Hear my wishes.
Thank you, best streamer in Florida. Yeah, hell yeah! I get to do my intro all over again.
Discord notification and I come into a muted mono not like this.
Oh, jeez. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I was like, you can hear the background noise. That was the only thing I checked. And that even seems kind of quiet.
Don't want to add to Anthony's
Oh,
troubles.
well. Fixed it now. I believe you guys can hear me. Thank you for the 29 months. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hard yes. God.
Poggers you
Jeez.
cutie, muted
Turtle.
mono. What a great way to start the week. Shy love, shy love, shy love, shy love, shy love.
Thank you for all the shy loves. And
One,
thank you for the 35
two,
months.
3,
Hear my wishes.
4,
Yo.
2,
Oh,
2,
I'm
3,
embarrassed as usual.
4.
Doesn't take much. But welcome, Crowley. Welcome, Turtle. Welcome, Shane. Welcome, Jay. Parker Dragon. I'm guessing that's Kimono Dragon. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to me, being pro streamer here, as always. You know, I can't let you guys down. I gotta do something.
Don't want to add
Time.
to Anthony's troubles.
It's Monday, don't be embarrassed. Flame Monday. Perfect. Let me draw. Welcome.
Hey, do you know what?
Now I'm trying to
neither
breathe.
do I.
I'm like, oh god, just
I-
breathe.
Already
I
forgot.
already was behind. I didn't eat dinner,
Fountain.
but I made it.
Hear my wishes.
I blame Rain for your screams. I forget every time. I see that. Alright, trying to paste all the things.
Fountain. Hear my wishes.
1, 2, breathe. 3,
Shane.
4,
are you guys? Tank! Welcome, Tank. Welcome, welcome. Had to change the name. Sorry, but you had so you can be the only kimono out there. Aww. It's okay. There's more kimonos. You're not the only one. It's all good. I
Let's
mean,
go somewhere
it's all good.
cooler.
Wanna add to drops?
I like it though. I like it. You're being more true to yourself now. Right. Okay, so I did one post out of like 5.
A radish veggie soup.
You could have to. I like auto posts during the day. They help me out a
You're also here for Mondstadt's wine.
lot. Yoga ball! Yes! Which color? Which color, Crowley? JJ! The retro, welcome! Can I get a shout out for JJ and Crowley, pretty please? I'm so excited to get to start playing D&D again on Saturday. I'm so happy for you. Silver, please? Alright, I got you.
Hey, do you know what?
I still need to put air in that thing.
Neither do I.
It's still partly deflated.
Already forgot.
I wouldn't know why. But it makes it easier not to fall off. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. Let's see. If I could type. Copy.
1, 2, breathe, 4, and
Thank you for giving JJ and Crowley a shout out. Ooh, yes. Also, I'm starting to be part of the D&D campaign on Saturday. Thanks. So, I'm starting to be part of
1, 2, 3, 4, 2,
and oh,
2,
ages,
3,
Crowley.
4.
Alright, let me get that yoga ball, guys. Sit up. And then I got 2 more tweets to go, or shout outs, or whatever you call it. Because I'm a small girl. I haven't done it. And I keep down my earbuds for this. You know, I get the ball, and I sit back in my chair instead of on the ball. That doesn't help anything.
One, two, breathe, 3, 4, and
Now watch me fall.
I will make you better.
No spooky nostalgia lately. Going to walk. Milo, real quick, and I'll be back. Alright, good luck. Thanks for Lord Lemon. Oh, give Lemon Drop a shout out too. It's to learn the way of the balls. Right. Oh, geez. Sorry to hear that, Parker. Oh. Now I feel like I'm still
15,
down.
16. That's a nice haul.
Gonna hide.
let's go somewhere cooler.
Yes. Posture check. I promise I'm sitting up. I just can't. You just can't see me. Oh.
2,
Ah.
3, 4.
You just can't see me because the yoga ball. There. Now that's probably too low. Oh well. All those gains.
Hey, do you know
Gains?
what?
What is gains?
Neither do I. I
Will I lie to you?
already
What did I
forgot.
do? What did I do? What did I do?
2,
I don't know what that
3,
means.
4,
Posture.
That's a nice haul.
Oh. Nico, Nico, nee!
Dash
Thank
Ketchum
you,
Gaming
thank you,
cheered.
Dash.
X4. Hi Mono Nico Nico Ni.
let's go.
How are you doing,
somewhere
Dash? Welcome, welcome,
cooler.
welcome. I don't even know what I'm lying about. That tells you. I don't even know.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4.
You hear some girl stretching in the game sound. Maybe. You might, you might. The world of ASMR is going on with the sound? I don't know.
I will make you better.
You're talking about with the girl in the background, Sixer? I don't know. Knew it. That's what he's talking about. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for the minis, Dash. Thank you, thank you.
Dash
thank you,
Ketchum
thank you,
Gaming
thank you.
cheered. X5.
Thank you, Dash. Okay.
Hey,
There,
do you know what?
there.
I will make you better.
Discord finally did my notification.
do
Thank
I.
goodness.
I already forgot.
I already forgot. She's just gonna leave me on that. What do you think? Catch, guys. Catch. A Chinese zombie, lolly, and a fountain. Not what I expected.
I will make you better.
She wanted to get a better look around, and so that's where I ended my last game. I don't know. She was just there. Now you can stare at her backside. There you go. It's kind of messed up.
Let's go somewhere cooler.
Kind of messed up, but there you go. That's what you get now. Standing on the wishing mountain, lol. Yes. I'm just standing there. That's it. Just standing there. They were wondering what all the ASMR sounds were. And welcome, Aaron. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Because all they saw was this.
15.
You get back to this game. All they saw was me, and then they heard her talking in the background, and they already figured out who she was. Like,
Hey, do you know what? Neither do I. I
yeah, he's too bad.
already forgot.
Oh no. I can hear her now. Yo.
15.
Hopefully it's not too bad. I can turn it up. I mean, she's kind of quiet though. Love zombie girls.
One,
Where's the
2,
fight?
3, 4, 2, 2, 3,
Make you better.
4.
There. Did it. All the things. Yeah, how do you say that? I don't remember how to say it. Chi-Chi?
I
Yeah,
will
I'm glad you know. Why is Q Chi? I is Chi. Ah. I need to learn all these names and how to pronounce them. I need a lesson. It's also in the game through
2,
character profiles.
breathe.
So we'll tell you all the pronunciation.
4, and
I do. Got it here. daily claim thing, is there? I don't think so. This is the other one. Oh, this is the other one I was doing. Yeah. I never finished this one either. The paper one. I forgot about it yesterday. Do you need to switch screens? Oh yeah, that helps. Green screen. I'm saying best Florida streamer. I'm glad you think so, because what if I'm the only one? Alright, I'm gonna switch this yoga ball back out, I think. Has it been 15 minutes yet? Probably not. I'm also gonna turn on the ceiling fan. Okay, it's probably not been 15 minutes yet. We'll go back to sitting on the yoga ball. Since you guys redeemed it, I'll be good. Your mic is quiet as well. Really quiet? Let me check. All the things and stuff. I'll turn everything up I can. Oh, there. That should be 100 times better. Now I'm probably blasting your ears out. Okay. That is probably much better. A bit loud. Okay, I'll turn it down now. I'll turn it back down. Or I could just whisper. Why are you yelling? Do you want me to set a timer for yoga ball? No, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's like 15 minutes and then I just get off when I think about it. It's all good. Yeah, I'm not sure why the game's so quiet. I probably got the game sound itself set to quiet. Let's see. I'm going to grab that. Loud noises. I don't know. Yes, whisper to me. I need an alarm clock alert. Oh no. That's not gonna wake you up, somebody whispering to you. I'm sorry.
3.
Alright, audio. See, that's like 10 and you can't. I don't know why it's quiet. Lana sent your badges finally. Yay! Thank you, lady. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to see them. I won't do it right this second. But I can't wait. So yeah, I don't know. Games be weird. Oh, that sounded a little louder. Obviously, if I need to redo some, let me know. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, we're gonna do things today.
4.
I think. Now it's gonna be loud, isn't it? Go. I probably should do some story stuff today, but we're gonna do the dailies first.
Hey, do you know what?
I'm gonna do stuff
neither
and
do
things and
I.
stuff. Okay, Carly.
I
Thank
already
you
forgot.
for stopping in.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4, and 1.
You know what? We should probably just teleport over there. I was saying you doing stuff, not me. Yes, I'm definitely trying to do things and stuff, but I don't know exactly what it is yet. Find my brain. What would be quicker is teleporting onto the road and avoid the climbing. Oh, you're probably right. But I went the wrong way, so now I gotta climb. I have to take the hard way. See, it's because I wanted this thing up here. That's why. Yeah, I knew this was up here, and I wanted it. Yeah, that's it. Drink water, thank you, Napoleon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You never realized that Chi-Chi Naruto runs? Yes, she does. But no,
Let's
you're
go
probably right. I should probably
somewhere
stick to roads more
cooler.
often. Instead of trying to go off-road to do everything.
Life goes on. Wow.
Done. My fingers just Alright, where's the other jump? Oh, that's right. This is the one where I just have to break the things. Isn't it? Is that all I gotta do is break things? No. Maybe. I can break things. Yeah, just destroy the things. Hi, me too! Welcome and thank you for the link!
No one escapes my sight.
Oh yeah?
As a dutiful maid would.
Your shield is on fire. It's gonna go down one way or another.
Germinate!
Where is the rain guy at? There's a rain guy around here somewhere. That or I was creating the rain. I don't even know. No, there he is. Knew it. Just break then. The game is a bit loud. Should drop it a bit? Okay, will do. I should just really go there and break the other one, shouldn't I? Not worry about these guys. Noelle's best girl, Noelle's supreme. Okay, here, let me drop that game real quick. Oh, it dropped my volume again. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, guys, is that much? Is that better? Am I still blasting your ears out? There we go. I had it on 5 or 6, and then it seemed like it was too quiet, and then I just, I don't know. I can't just let him live. It's gonna bother me. Fire against fire. There. He's not gonna live now. It's about sending a message, Ella. Should let him live so he can remember what you did to his friends so he can tell the tale. Doggo. Did I talk to him? During combat. Okay, okay. He knows I'm streaming. That's why he's barking. I can't win. He would attack if he got the message. Go give him lunch meat. Right? Why now? Okay, I want my chair back. It's chair time. I get to put the yoga ball back up. I tell him to shut up. Alright. I think it worked. Oh, I was gonna say I think it worked, but it didn't. It did not work. I'm so nice. So why is there a thing here somewhere that I can't see? I'm guessing it's on top of that mountain. Point of interest. I get distracted easy, you have to bear with me. I just like to climb. Yeah, I caught it. Momo! Hunted by a dog? Yes. Being hunted by a dog. I don't see it. Oh. I'm so confused. I don't know. I see the little white stars on the map and then I don't see anything here, so I get really confused. Oh well.
Someone needs assistance.
We're gonna drop in from above and crash the party. Oh, that's why. Maybe. I didn't even notice that the stream schedule you started earlier. Yeah, I started doing that I think a week or two ago. Probably last week. Maybe. Don't hit Noelle, you're gonna regret it.
I must leave no stone unturned.
Thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Steady as stone.
Potatoes. Potatoes. We need all the potatoes. I don't know what for, but I need potatoes. Okay, now that I'm lost, I guess I keep going this way. Meow. Ouch.
Orders given. Orders received.
Ah.
Faster. Okay.
No.
Lower breath.
Kick blood. Clear out the path. Oh no, you missed my question. Uh-oh. Okay. What's the question? Let me look. Do you remember the logistics of Katri's death in Icewind?
One,
No.
2. Breathe. 3, 4, and
Cheeks. Oh, the cheeky. What did we say about cheeks? Oh, the face cheeks and the emote. Oh yeah, the emote I made in Discord about face cheeks. Oh no, Yoga Ball, which color this time?
3,
You guys are killing me.
4, 2, 3, 4.
Red. Okay. I don't like vines. We're just gonna burn them up. Don't do it. Alright, we're gonna sit right here. For just a second. I can't remember how he decided when we played the D&Ds. Huh. I don't know. I don't remember either. Who is that? Donna? Mimi. Red yoga ball. Okay. Chair back. At least this one sits a little higher. And I don't have to adjust my chair. I can't remember. And I didn't notate it. What do you mean notate it? Oh, because they died? How they died? I don't remember.
Told you I'd win.
How many times will Moto die this time? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's very possible that I die. All that for 10. Oof. And for a thingamajig of interest that I can't find. So it's like behind this rock. I don't see it.
What is with Mondstadt and its obsession?
Don't see it. Teleport. What if I don't die at all, Turtle? What if I don't die at all? What then? What's that about?
Okay, faster.
I don't remember what this is about.
No escape. Hey. I must leave no stone unturned, as a good knight should.
Oh, it's part of an event too. How's you, lovelies? I'm doing pretty good. I survived the day, Momo. I hope you did. I hope you're doing well.
Dash Ketchum Gaming cheered. X5.
Thank you. Thank you for the 5 biddies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. How did the presentation go last week? You totally forgot on Friday. It went pretty good. I did better, I think, the first round than I did the second round. Second round, I was more nervous, but it went pretty good. I was proud of myself, but I was wore out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Proud of you. Thank you. Sixer. Thank you. Shane with the loves. Ready for commission. Accepted.
Leave it all to me. Life goes on.
Don't hurt me. Man, that bubble. There. Yeah, I made some good steps. Now I'm tired after at least my brain is. Good, 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 good. Get down on this tree. And then we're gonna go. There. We gotta go over here. Good, good, good. The road's up high. No. get him. That didn't do anything. Oh, he ran.
Life goes on. Oh.
I forget she's like level 50 now. Oh, artist, welcome! Afro, welcome! Welcome to the stream, guys. I'm gonna guess you don't know where to go or what to do next. Maybe. Maybe. My day is going pretty good, guys. Thank you for asking. Oh, I don't own that ball. Dang it. I'm out of those. Clicking ASMR? Oh, God. Yeah. Probably because I was talking and typing. Nope, it's definitely picking it up. I've been messing up all my settings lately. We'll just say that. So you get all the clicking ASMR. You were playing Tekken? Nice. Lemon Drop got the hugs and the cookies, guys. Yeah, I turned off my noise gate one day because nobody could hear me, and now it's all my filters are messed up. Let's see what the auto setting is. Maybe that'll work. You licked? Oh, is she starting the licking? I'm watching you. I got Momo instead. I got Momo instead. That's what you get for making the Pokemon escape? Nice. Alright, but we'll see if the clicking's a little less. I can still hear it. Oh well. Kicking me again. No! I won't kick you. Alright, I think I did all my dailies, yep. Autocorrect on this tone of licking. How are you, Kimono? I'm pretty good. I'm tired. I changed my stream to an hour earlier lately because I'm trying to go to bed earlier. And it works some days and some days it doesn't. Like today, I didn't get my notifications out before I went live. And I didn't eat dinner. So today was a fail. But I made it here.
Welcome to the adventure.
I don't know, but I still made it.
Thank you for completing today's Ad Astra Abyssos.
No, lick me. I have to do something. No, why? Cause I ran out of time. I'm a slacker. I'll get something in a bit. There. Splashing. Oop turtle. Kiss myself. And hugs Lemon Drop again. Lemon Drop must need hugs today. I think she does. So I was happy I leveled Noelle last night. I could level her if I get the one thing I need. There's only one thing I need to send her. And that is this. Which, where is that at? Slopes and Lue. And then I can ascend her. Fire plant. Click on navigate. Yes. There it is. Would be a difficult spot to get to. Can I teleport to that? No. Can I teleport to that? No. Of course, I have to teleport below. Kisses KimonoKat. And you kissed Lady Rain on the cheek. You tried. You failed. How are you doing, Retro? When are you doing your anniversary stream? When are you doing it? When are you doing it? Can I get a shout out for Heirloom and Retro, please? Alright. Ball. Ah! Airtime. Oh no, turtle, don't say that. Oh, jeez. What am I gonna do with you guys? How was my Chrono Trigger stream? I'm trying to go heavy in the retro stuff since... Oh, what is it? Yeah. So did you already do it? Did I miss it? Hey Shane, can I get a shout out for Lady Rain? You need water? Yeah, I do. Oh, it was a few weeks ago. I was thinking you were doing it today. I don't know. Because my brain. Napoleon, thank you for the drink water. And welcome to the stream. It's good to see you. Shane, who did I miss then? You tell me who I missed. I don't know who I missed. You'll be back tomorrow? Oh god, I just fell down the hill. I gotta go across. I just wanted to climb. That's what it was. And they would make this face look impossible to climb. So we go over here. Dead Space is calling your name? Do it, do it. Oh, you need water for the fire plant. Oh. Yeah. I need a water character? Oh, that's the fire plant down there, isn't it? that what I gotta fight these things?
Sacred name. Fortune
Can I just freeze it? Now there's two of them.
As a dutiful maid would.
Water or ice? Yeah. Get off the wall. Okay, so where am I headed? I'm still headed up this hill thing, and which is this way. I'm so navigationally challenged. We're just not gonna talk about it. That was the regular play. Couldn't fight the boss play. Yeah, I'm gonna die. We're gonna go die. Fight the boss play it. It's gonna kick my booty. Is that a new version of Oddish? Yes. Can I eat it? That's what I want. I want to eat it. You'll be fine. Don't worry. You're not alone. One of the reasons it took me forever to get into gaming is because I can't read maps and knew I'd get constantly lost. Same. Like, I just... Eventually I'll find my way. Eventually.
Wheel of life.
Just die already. Dang. Okay. Now we've loaded up some things. Where is this boss plant? Was that the boss plant? No, that can't be the boss plant. Maybe he's down here. Oh, jeez, willikers. Yep, found the boss plant. Wish me luck. We're going in. Head first. Kill it! Going in head first. Ah! I like that face. Don't shoot me in the air, let me land.
Life goes on.
It's gonna take forever. And I'm pretty sure fire does absolutely nothing to it.
Oh.
We're just gonna work at it a little bit at a time. Why do I feel like...
Go. I must leave no stone unturned.
Turtle! Oh. She took the hit though. Burn in chat and in game. What's the odds? Right? You burned my butt. Don't burn my butt. Hmm?
Leave it all to me.
Come on, Noel. Give the other two a break. Kick some butt. I'm guessing this little tiny health bar has a thing to do with it too.
Go.
Dang, missed it. Scalp. I missed it too. When the bar goes, then the flower will drop as it's stunned. Okay. Oh, and then you should go for like the head of the flower.
Life goes on.
Okay, okay. Maybe it does it anyway.
Orders given. Orders received. Oh. Nice.
Oh, it falls down all the way.
I must leave no stone unturned.
Oh, now it's gonna spin around.
I missed a spot.
Esmeralda, welcome, welcome, welcome. Click, click, click. Shh, shh. You laughing and I'm mad clicking. I can't help it, my sound thing's messed up today. I will have to work on that. Now that I know.
Wheel of life.
I'm a mad clicker. Not gonna lie.
Leave it all to me.
Hit the wrong one. That's not what I meant.
Life goes on.
Poor Chi-Chi. Having to do all the work.
I didn't feel that.
I didn't feel that. Yeah.
I must leave no stone unturned.
Doesn't have much effect at all.
Go.
Got to level those characters and weapons, I know. I really need that piece so I can level the other two characters. I should work on that this stream. Leveling them up. But that's what I'm after, is that piece so I can level Amber. So let the main characters super attacks to go all in on them.
Faster.
Well, since I can't remember how Katra died, I just need to add a random scar to his face. Yeah, I don't remember. Sadly. I'm not paying attention. She's gonna die if I don't pay attention anymore. Takes too long.
Steady as stone. Wheel of life.
It's okay. I don't feel like getting cuffed, plus he may not remember either. Oh, I wish I remembered. He would probably tell you, but I don't know if he's awake. Yay, it's done. Yay! I got what I needed. Party time. Okay.
At this speed, no one
Do you need more of their materials? I'm about to log on in, so if you want more from the flower and stuff, I can help out for a bit before I go to bed. That sounds awesome. Yeah, we can material hunt if you want to help me material hunt. For the ones that I need. Hmm. Nah. It's gonna be just short. No. That's alright. We'll leave it right there. I don't want to waste it. Give me a moment. Okay. Not Amber. I like Amber. She's my favorite pyro, although I did get new characters the other day, guys. I didn't show you guys. I got her. I don't know if you were who I was here and who wasn't. And have this one. Have your favorite turtle. I think she's one of your favorites. And then for Chi-Chi, I need, wherever these things are. And the flowers. Cliffs and Lue. And whatever this blue stuff is, dropped on 50, level 40 cryos. Or you can craft, but I don't have the stuff to craft those.
2, breathe, 3, 4, and
Ready? You know where to get that? Okay. Because that's what I need for Chi-Chi. The ice flower. Is there necromancers? Ooh, I like the goth. Did you see that? Oh, then you would like, what's her name? Where's she at? Where's she at? Where? Oh, this one. You'd like Fischl, artist.
Founded paradise. For I, Fischl, and the Prinzessin der Verirrt.
Yes. Okay, let me back out of this.
you know what?
So I can accept
Neither do I.
friends jumping in. Now how do I get out of here again? I don't even remember. Oh, teleport? Would be the best way. Now was Lue in the ice? Where's that at? You gotta come to you? Oh, okay. Okay, I could do that. If I remember how to do that. Where's friends? Turtle's online too. So he can't join at level 20? He should be able to join me. But just, I guess, just not in this area. Fischl's other dress is better? Ooh, I hadn't seen that one. There we go. Show me the way. We level up Chi-Chi. I think I have to be higher or same level to join. It doesn't make sense because I always join everyone else at lower, that are way higher levels than me. Need your help too? I mean, if you want to help, you're like level 60. You're gonna murder us. Where'd he go? I lost him. I don't even know. I'm terrible at keeping track of players. Teleport to where I am? Okay. No, only people who are the same level or lower can join you. Really? Then how did you guys play with me before? Oh. So I was gonna say, y'all used to join my game. I get it though. So I can join his game because he's lower. And y'all could join my game because I was lower. I might get down there eventually.
No escape.
I got two. Can we play over summer break? I'll grind it. Yeah. Oh no, you don't have a bow for Amber? What do you mean?
There's no need to exchange pleasantries. It's rather pathetic to force a conversation.
Yay, we got stuff. Okay, so Chi-Chi needs...
Wind rises.
I don't know what Chi-Chi needs now. Probably can't even check right now, can I? Oh. She needs...
Let's go
that
somewhere cooler.
and those. You're using the basic weapons that come with the characters. Yeah, I need weapons.
1, 2, breathe. 3.
You can craft them? Okay. I don't... Do I have the stuff, enough stuff to craft them now? I don't know. I think I couldn't craft them before because I didn't have the items. But you're saying I just got the items now, right? Maybe. Aha, I got 5. Oh, it says I got 1.
1,
But I guess I need 1 more, was it?
breathe. 3, 4, and 1, 2.
So how many does it take to craft, though?
4,
And then I need 4 flowers. I think you can do them in my world, but we can get the thing again. Okay. You can only make 1 blue? Okay. But then I need those flowers. The flower thingamajiggies. Glyphs and Louis. You need 3 small ones? Oh, and I only have 5, so I'm like barely short. Mm.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4.
Yeah, I think I'm just short. Unless I buy them. Can I buy the blue pieces too? Or are they super expensive? Yeah. One more little piece. Oh, I can't buy them from the little jewelry lady? I can't buy the little blue ice pieces? No refunds. Hmm. Okay. You haven't spoken to her in years? Usually she lets you buy stuff, but I don't know if it's because it's not my world. She won't let me. I'm guessing because it's not my world, she won't let me buy stuff. So now I just have to figure out where those flowers are. Yeah, most of the time the NPCs won't. Yeah. Were the flowers, they like right outside? It says Cliffs of Leeway. Where's that at? Its numbers back, lol.
Faster? Okay, faster.
It's easier to VC? Okay. You do that. You want me to call you? If you want to, okay, I'll call you.
1,
Give me a second.
2,
Don't mind? Okay. As long as you don't mind.
4, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, and I'm muted. There we go.
1.
Why is it not letting me
Breathe.
voice call? Oh, it is, I think. I think.
Hello.
Hi, there you are. Welcome.
Hello there.
Let's make sure it's not super loud.
Is it working? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
it's working. We can hear you. Sweet. Okay. Now I don't have to ask like 500 questions and not hear answers, and you don't have to type.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, cool.
Totally.
Wasn't too sure.
Yeah, it was like slow or something about it, so I wasn't sure either at first, but I can hear you.
Mine wasn't set up, so because I just plugged my mic in.
Oh.
So let's go do some shiz then.
Okay. Catch up. Let's see. Teleport.
Hang on, does it show? Hang on, does it show you? Ah, it wasn't on camera. I was like, I'm here.
Oh.
I'm just floating about.
See.
Has your game frozen?
No.
Okay.
It just does that when I switched around on my computer. It just looks like it's frozen for a split second. Because I'm like switching between monitors and doing stuff. Let's see.
Let's go kill this flower thing.
Again.
If you want the ascension materials, then it's the only thing to do.
Yup.
Gotta admit, I thought the Wanderer would be really weak. Like, oh, I'm only doing 1 damage. It's like, no, I can take down the entire plant. I need to.
The wind rises. You're dead.
Nah! Why does the plant talk? Oh, no, that's your character. I was like, what is that?
That's cheating. Tired.
What? I just died! I wasn't paying attention! No, jeez.
Sacred moon.
I'm gonna freeze the plant that's already frozen. That doesn't make any sense at all, but it kind of worked.
I mean, it's Genshin logic, isn't it?
Right? I froze the plant.
I mean, I can summon a teddy bear that breathes fire, or it's a thing that breathes fire. There we go. Another one down.
Yay! More pieces.
How much?
Hey,
How much resin have you got? Oh, are you using condensed? Oh, I don't know if if the PC is a little bit different. It's like you use resin.
Yeah, random question. If I add a game to my Steam wishlist, can my friends see it? Yes. Trying to figure out Thor's Valentine's Day gift, LL, and I don't want him to see while I think of ideas. Yes, he will totally look at it and see what you put on there. That's like kind of the purpose of the wish list. Okay, so I should revive my character real quick. Let's see.
Take them to my statue.
Oh yeah, that would be the easy way.
Do you know that when you're in another player's world, the statues shout at you?
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could totally see what you got in your wish list. Shout at you like when you click on them?
Yeah, so if you click on it.
Come on, leave!
Yeah.
I didn't know that! Oh, okay, good thing I asked before I saved anything. Oh, jeez.
Wait, I don't know why it shouts that. Like,
I don't know. I don't know, but that's funny.
Lady Ryan says, "Did you know that if you're in my world, I will shout at you too?"
Yes. Do it, Rain. Do it.
Let's go.
Lady Pleases too? Not yet. Who the heck is Ryan? She says. She loves him. You just don't know how many people call her Ryan on purpose, and it's Rain.
Is it Rain?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. It's just it's like Ryan. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, Rain. Sorry, I have to peek around to see the monitor. Plus, it's my British way of saying that's exactly what it is. That's exactly it is. Me and my cup of teas and my Yorkshire puddings.
Oh, jeez.
Cool, blimey, Governor. I don't know where it is.
Huh?
I'm just trying to think.
Where did you go?
What weapons have you got?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Apparently, I'm gonna meet Coatworker next month.
I shall be in England next month. Oh my gosh.
Buckingham Palace, Governor.
Okay. So where do we find the flowers at? Do you know?
So, I can show you where all the flowers are, because there's only, I think there's only 4, but it's also in your book. So you have your ice one, which we were just there.
Mm-hmm.
The fire one.
Well, I only need the ice ones, the purple ones.
Yeah. So if it's just that one, then we just need to wait around there for it. You can.
No. It's these things. They're called violet grass.
Oh, they're kind of like in leeway.
Yeah, so it says found near the cliffs of Leeway.
Let's go to the cliffs of Leeway then.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's on like every single mountain.
Hey, you know what? Neither do I. I already forgot.
So it's then just circling the cliffside.
You use the app for this game, right? No.
Oh, you can use it. Hang on, let me bring up the
I mean, I have the app, but I don't really use it. I just check in. That's it. Does it count?
Interactive Genshin map. Okay. So we need
1, 2, 3.
which one is this?
Shows everything you need.
2, 2,
Is that it?
3,
Okay.
4.
Oh no, that's something different.
Is that the same app as the daily check-in?
Yeah, I think it's on there. Ah, okay. Right. So, okay, I have the map. Okay. So, let's go to the right place. And there's me not having a teleporter. Oh, I killed the Wanderer. Nice.
Where did you go? Across? Or no, you're down there. Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the location. So I think
It's
there's
mostly
someone...
climbing mountains. Yeah, because like, aren't they like literally on the side of a mountain?
Yeah. So we do a kind of circle round. Okay, I found one. I found one!
Look at you! I'm gonna find you. Okay, so you're to the left. Oh, God. I just fell down the mountain. Did you see that? I fly gracefully.
Well, the thing is, you have to do all that climbing. You might as well do it up here.
Oh.
There's some more up here. So basically, are you on the walkway?
Yes.
Hang on, I have to... Oh yeah, there you are. I see you.
So it's
walking over here.
Okay. Crisis, welcome to Steam! It shows you on the mini-map where the flowers are since you have TT equipped. Oh! So the dots are the flower, the stars are the flowers?
So there's one up there. And then if you climb a bit more to the top.
RIP! What's wrong, Sixer? You said there's one up there somewhere?
Yeah, so you turn it around a little bit. But yeah, if you climb up that way. There's 2 up there.
Hello? Nothing? to like zoom way out of the mountain. Deep, 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 deep.
I wish my character could fly all the time.
We won't talk
Not just be
about
like, oh, he's falling down to his death.
nothing. Poor thing. Crisis, what are you up to today? What are you playing? But you're saying since I have Chi-Chi equipped, it'll show me where they are and what I need? What was Turtle trying to say?
Is it on your map? Oh, your camera's covering up your map. There might be sometimes it looks like it's like a hand or something like that.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4, and.
Okay, I can't. Yeah, so you see, like, if you, I think you've got like a little hand. It's on the mini map.
So like I'm standing on it? Pretty much.
I think there's some over where I am at the moment. Or if you've got your double screen, haven't you? I don't know how you do these things. Hang on, let me
I killed her. Don't see it. Maybe it's further down. I keep hitting the C key and that's why I'm dying.
Ah, that's the reason why. Just unplug your keyboard.
Yeah, that's it. I unplugged my keyboard.
I knew it. I knew it all along.
Oh, jeez. One's revive. Revive. There we go. I don't know. Oh no, it's not revive. That looks yummy.
So I think there's like meant to be tons on this mountain part here. There is one thing I want to show you though.
Revive.
If I can get there.
Not the plus signs. Not the. Is it the sword ones?
So sword is attack, pluses for health, and resurrection's like the little winged ones. That's green.
Okay.
So like the fried eggs and the steak and stuff like that.
It won't let me use it. Oh, maybe it will. It just looks like it wouldn't. Oh, duh. I'm just being a blonde.
Hey, there's something strange over there. Come on, let's take a look.
The eggs.
And I caught on the minimap. D&D meets Escape from Tarkov and it's brutal. No. Darker and darker. Oh no. You can buy 5 flowers from a guy every 3 days. Oh. Where do you do that at? Must be in my game though.
I think it'll probably be in Leeway. Whereabouts are you? Trying to find you.
Right here, trying to figure out where these notions of these flowers are. There's different kinds over here. That's the ones I need, I think. Yep. And then there more up this hill, looks like somewhere. Or they were further down. I found another set.
So I'm doing that like really annoying thing. Like I fire at loads of people to see if I can see it on your camera. Where am I just want to see something fly by.
So when you pick them, do you get more than one or do you only get one?
You only get one. Everybody gets one.
Ah. Even though it looks like there's multiple flowers.
Yeah. There's like all kind of like bunched together.
Still says there's some right here, but I don't see them yet. Oh, there's some. I see some. I came, I saw, I conquered, or something or other. I don't know.
Ah, cool. Right, hang on. Right, I want to show you something.
Okay.
It's really cool. Right, drop down onto the ground.
Okay.
It's really weird being on this server. I've absolutely got nothing.
Investigate.
So yeah, you see those? You'll see them all around.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pop them, you'll get a chest.
Oh yeah.
Although you can't open the chest in the world, but
I know.
if you open them
There
in
you
your
go.
one,
Cool.
but yeah, there's tons, and it gives you a little bit more kind of extra stuff.
Okay, so I found what 3 whole flowers, and I need 2 more, I think. Defeat opponents.
Yeah, come to my world and pick up the flowers. Help me do all the things.
Help me do all the things so you can get caught. But I gotta go where that hand is, wherever to get more flowers.
So I've sent you a link onto your through Discord.
Okay.
And if you can filter it out by items in the game.
Okay.
And it literally tells you everywhere of like that one item. So I'm just having a look. There's another one. Like if there's a quicker option if you just need to.
What's the flower called?
So
Let's see. It's called a. Oh, I need a bunch of them. I only have 7 out of 10.
hang on.
And I need violet grass, is what it's called. Violet grass. Those things.
I think there's some around where I am.
I already forgot.
Then you have to figure out where you're at. Okay.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4, and
Said there was
1,
on the interactive map.
go.
Why did I hit that? Trying to look. You being murdered?
No, you could easily scrape your knees. I just fell down a whole ravine. I was like, oh, he so scraped his knees.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find like where this map is. No character. You cannot fall all the way down.
It's like I don't feel like fighting this dude, and he just wants to fight me. I don't feel like violence is the answer today.
Violence is never the option. Not unless you're Timmy. Timmy just goes, I hate Timmy so much. Have you had a hatred for Timmy yet?
No.
Ah,
Which one is Timmy?
he's the guy on the bridge that looks after his pigeons.
Oh yeah, remember that. Random, welcome to the stream.
Everybody hates Timmy.
There's 209 and you need 168. Oh my gosh. You don't own that item. Did I try Great Ball? No. I'm out of balls. There. Sure, I got some random ones. Let's see where you're at. You are over.
Yeah,
Alright, I'm gonna pull up this little map too. I figure out where I'm at compared to that. I'm right here.
Right, okay. I know where. Apparently, like, there's a ton. Just have to unlock something.
Let's go somewhere cooler.
Maybe I can go to this teleport point and get closer. Where are you at? You're over there. You're that one.
One of the teleports I've not unlocked yet, but apparently, from what it says on this map, interactive thing, there's tons of them.
Okay, I see where it's talking about. It's like up from that.
It's like when you play this game for the first time, you're like, oh, I love climbing. It's so therapeutic. Now it's like, I hate it. I hate all of this.
Me too. Yeah, this hillside across from us is supposed to be covered in them.
Yep.
Oh, and I just went the wrong way.
Right, I've just unlocked it. So if you wanted to teleport over
To this. Where did you go? Oh, you're way down there.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4, and
So yeah, apparently on all around this thing, there should be tons for you.
Okay.
So you can have them all.
Find all the flowers.
I do not need them because I do not have the little killer, the little zombie.
faster. Okay, faster.
Alright, I don't want to fall down too far. Although it doesn't. Oh, I found a chest. There's a chest where I'm at if you want it.
I will come find it. If you come to where I am, there is at least 2 on the wall.
Okay.
Oh look, it's a precious chest. There's a few precious chests.
I found a shiny thing on the wall.
That will. They're actually for something, I think.
Please.
Oh, there's two nice precious chests.
Please.
There's so many of them.
Oh, that's what you need. Da-da-da-da. Okay, now I see the hand, so now I know which direction I gotta go. It finally popped up. I see you, turtle. Messaging me.
Be like, I want to join the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want to join this person's world. It's just me.
Okay, I cannot find these guys. I'm terrible. Let's see, maybe it's further down this mountainside.
I always think you
No?
should start from the top and then just do it like a quick glide around.
I think it lies. It tells me they're like right here and then they're not. The hand thing doesn't work.
It was all a lie. A lie that you could not have. Chi-Chi doesn't help. She helps you find coins.
Ah! It doesn't work. Yeah, the hand doesn't work.
The puzzle is still unsolved.
What? Puzzle is still unsolved. What is she talking about? Yeah, I think the hand's a lie, Turtle. Nope, there it is. Found it, found it, found it. Go get it, go get it. It's worth your life. That was one. Jeez.
Are you finding them all?
I found one.
I saw 2 on the wall.
Okay, so it's probably in the same area. I just gotta recharge and go back down. There it is. I see it. Oh, I see 3. I see 2. I mean, 2 more. So good. Okay, and then. Oh, oh, oh. Nope. I tried to kill myself.
Falling into the abyss.
No.
My character's just like, yeah, I can do this. Nope.
There's 5 where you are. You're looking on the mini map trying to help us. Thank you. So I got 3.
They should definitely make this like a first person. Oh man.
Time didn't stop for me.
Did you keep falling? Is that what I hear?
Hey?
Is your
No.
death every few minutes?
I just got absolutely destroyed by a massive evil hairy kill.
Oh no. Easier looking at the interactive map. No, hold on. I think. Oh, why did I do that? There's a chest for you.
Hang on, I don't know. Let's find out where you are, because I'm on the other side of that mountain. Where's Mark? He's over here.
He's gonna fall to his death again. Trying to find stuff. Then I'm gonna teleport back up high and fall down again. Trying to find these plants.
Did you get them all along the side?
I got 3, but it still says there's more in this area. Turtle says there's 5 in this area, so there's probably 2 more here. And the hand's still here, so I know they're still here, because the hand didn't disappear yet.
3,
I just have to
Really like
find them.
4,
That's,
2, 2,
that's
3,
new. It's not new,
4.
really. Maybe I need to give this character like a better bow rather than like basic bow 101. Oh, I only have basic bow 101.
Where are these flowers? It says they're here, but I don't see them. You missed it up there? You saw it? No. I'm just gonna fly up and down like 5 million times. It's gonna be the hardest part of the game.
Hard. Well,
Getting the
I
flower.
generally thought you were like an eagle or something.
Okay, so these baddies are here. And you're saying the flowers around here. Oh, here's another chest. It's not far down from the top.
Let's pop back up. I used to love, like, when I first played this game, I was like, oh, chest, chest, chest.
I'm gonna
Love it.
find all the chests now that I'm not looking.
It was my favorite thing. And now it's just like, alright, cool.
That's not my world.
There's an achievement if you want it when we've found your thingies.
Okay.
It's the you need 2 people for it.
Okay.
It's standing in the Heartstone, which is just like, oh, that's really cool. I know it's really cool. You can only have 2 people in it, not 8.
Ah, zoom out. You're zoomed in. I don't see it.
Is this where I come flying about and be like, I found it, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. You're gonna find it.
But I can't even see it. Oh, there's a conch.
It's probably like in a little crack or crevice or something that I can't.
If you want to pop in, Turtle, you're more than welcome. I will.
You wanna help us find it, Turtle? Yeah. You probably can't see the code because I got it covered up. Yeah. There you go.
Now, if you needed mint, I know where all the mint is.
Mint is everywhere.
I love Wanderer. He is the best for like just finding floating things.
Okay, so did you add him, Turtle? And does he have to accept it? You have to accept it. Technical difficulties. Oh. Is that something? Could be.
It's shiny, so it must be.
It's probably mint.
Mint is everywhere in this game.
That or it's in the wall. Don't you hate it with the games like that? And there's stuff's like in the wall. Yet you can still like grab it. Yeah, I think no, that's that shiny thing on the wall. That's the other thing for you to find. Your thing. Bedtime for me. Long day tomorrow. Have fun. Thank you, Lemon Drop. Yep.
Turtle wants to join.
She's gonna find fall. If Turtle has joined us, I'm going to fall to my death. Da, 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 da. Ah! Cold.
There's 2 of you now in this world.
Revive. Oh.
It's just really weird because I just see 2-player and 3-player just crossing over on my map.
Poke, catch. But good night, Lemon Drop. Thanks for hanging out, lurking. I don't have any of the Pokeballs.
You don't own that Pokeball.
Poke.
That Pokeball is
Shot.
yours.
Ultra Ball. 10. There. Don't tell me I don't have any Pokeballs. There we go.
Found 2. I found 2 over here.
Did you? I can find them all. How many more I need now?
8,952.
That was it. That's all I needed. So now I can teleport into the town and craft that other gem, right? Or do we gotta fight that thing one more time?
No.
I
If
think
you
I
come
gotta.
find me, you'll see me pointing at it.
Okay.
Why are you teleporting to the top? I was already there.
Oh, no. Down here?
Oh, I finally saw it.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, you were the same character, Turtle! Oh god, I'm gonna fall. Just forget it. I just fell. I'm bad at this. Just go get it and die. It's okay. Ow, I don't know. I'm not gonna get it. I'm just gonna die. She's gonna be like right at the edge of going, I was so close. There. She got it. It was worth her life. Oh no, she didn't die. Okay.
Definitely not showing, or either the stream's a little bit. There's one up there. There's like 2 of you. There's 2.
What? Wait.
Up there. Oh, we're playing this game, aren't we?
Yeah. Just don't knock me off the ledge.
Oh, I wish you could do that. That'd be really funny. You're about to get that thing.
Turtle, your butt's really cute. There you can just like, there you go, stream. Twin butts, there you go.
Do you know what would be really funny?
Huh?
If I had her as well.
I know.
No, well, hang on. No, this is who I have. Hang on, stay there, stay there.
Okay, I guess I don't know how much longer we can stay here. Apparently forever.
Hang on, hang on.
Oh, Turtle has that one.
There we go.
There you go, chat. That's what you need. Somebody needs to take a screenshot. There we go. If I can get it to focus back in on me, there we go.
I think, yeah, we're purposely in.
Here.
Have you taken a screenshot?
Here, I'll do it on my phone because I don't want to move because it won't let me do it exactly right. There. I took a screenshot. That's what I'm gonna post to my Snapchat now. That's what happened today.
And then I just kill characters. I really hate Sai so much. Rolling around at the speed of sound, got nowhere to go, got follow my rainbow. That's exactly what you get with Sayu.
You're holding a contest to see who holds on the longest. No, you're taking a butt screenshot. We were taking butt pictures. Sorry. That's what we were doing.
It's like we're all nipping at
Mountain goats, yo. What did you need help with getting an achievement?
Oh, it's I have no idea where it is. But that was just a lot of fun.
There's your treasure chest, yo.
If we had like one more person coming in, we'd actually have like a
Oh my god! Artist! She said I didn't realize Genshin had an OF. That's what we're gonna start, a Genshin OF account. Yep. See how many ridiculous poses we can do. And it can only be from the actual game, it can't be hand-drawn characters.
All you've got to do is just have like what show some ankle, go back to Victorian days.
It's just some ankle.
I have
all
no
the
artifacts.
all those ankles. That's not an ankle. Turtle, where are you at? We
It's
lose
like,
Turtle.
You've gone around and attacked me and done this. He's like, I'm out.
There he is. I see you. But yeah, I can need to go craft, so I'm gonna go to town right here. But yeah, Rain, you leave for, 5 whole minutes and we get in trouble. Yeah. That's how it works.
It's Babysitter's Club, that's what it is.
Yeah.
The 3 children of the ancient world.
Where's the crafting station?
You've just gone past it.
Oh.
Why is this room gone?
Get off the wall. Chi-Chi.
Oh wow. I just found a glitch in the game.
Did you?
Yeah, this rune guard was just like, I'm just gonna stand around. You've gone
That's
past
a
it.
chef. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I'm trying to get the chef to craft things. Is it the Envil?
If you go back to the teleport, it's literally right next to it. See, Turtle knows where it is. I've just gone right past it.
I'm just gonna keep running in circles. Oh, I don't know. That's the chef again. I must be hungry. Which symbol is it? This one?
It's right there. it's the right there.
Bad gatos. There was no person there.
It's like in Leeway, like no one needs to be by the crafting table.
Apparently, I was looking for a person.
Oh, do you want to do a really cool thing
Mm-hmm.
when you've done your crafting?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really cool thing to break the game.
Okay. Even though I don't want to send yet. Break the game instead.
Oh, you can ascend them if you want. But we can break the game.
Then we can go break it. Okay.
It's one of my
I
favorites.
went to
do.
bed. I need more stuff. No. Then I'm gonna go back to because I think I did her 1 point short.
We are child gang.
Cookies. So essentially Brooke was already eating her portion and wanted Puddle's portion, so she moved to his and got mad at him for trying to eat his own portion. Oh my god. Small Gato is feisty. High racing take. Sleepy time. Have a good stream, lovely. Thank you, Momo. Can I get a shout out for Momo? I think I missed Momo. Hey, she's level 50. Oh, Turtle, that's so cool. I didn't know she could sit on a swing. She's cute. Okay, what are we doing here?
We are gonna go break the game.
You want cake? Okay. She's always has been. She's been queen of the house. Thanks for the shout out to Momo. Double shout out. You guys are awesome. Come on, Myrtle. Gonna fall on your head.
Oh,
I missed.
Right, where is it? Is it down here?
Gonna freeze you, plant girl. Night, sweeties. Good night, Momo. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcomes.
Oh, it's here. Something where you gotta hang on. Like, is it? I'm sure it's this one. Or is it here?
Are we supposed to get on the boat? In the boat. This is part of the OF thing. We all gotta get in the boat. Oh, no.
Don't know what sort of boats you're playing. I'm sure it's somewhere around here.
What is it that we're looking for?
So, what we're gonna try and do is drop below the game.
Oh, not a group boat. Oh no. She knows. She knows.
I think I've broken. I can't. I'm like stuck anyway. Hang on.
I'm stuck.
I'm sure it's that boat there.
Turtle, do you know what glitch he's talking about? Where you go below the game?
Right, hang on. Let me quickly look this up. Alright, okay.
Mm.
1, 2, breathe. 3, 4.
Genshin boat glitch. Leeway. I think it's leeway. Okay, yeah, right. So apparently
No.
it's meant to be around. It is meant to be around this one. If they've patched it, I'd be so annoyed. So I've done it myself. Like,
Uh-oh.
I hope it, like it's not. Everyone in your chat's like, oh god, what's he doing?
I don't care.
But yeah, you meant to kind of get stuck, and then it literally drops you below the water. No, I'm stuck. Yeah, like you meant to get really like, kind of stuck into the corner, and then
And they swim fast.
oh, was that? Oh, I think that was it. But silly me moved.
We're all just like trying to die here.
Wait, did oh, I thought Turtle got in there. I was like,
No.
Turtle, you did it. You did it, Turtle.
Oh, he went under the raft. He's stuck in the raft. I see his head. There he is. See, did he do it? No.
Wait, wait. Oh, Jeremy thought I'd done it then. No, there is. I think there is another one as well. Can't remember the way. Anyway, we don't have to do this. I thought it'd be like, oh, I'll be dead quick. No, no, it's
They
not.
probably fixed it.
I'm gonna have to properly do it. I don't know if it. Wait, there is another one where you hold onto a boat and you drop down.
Turtle, join us. Be one of us. One of us. One of us. Oh, you can protect us because we're level 1.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, you're not level 1?
I am level 2.
I can launch one of y'all when you teleport? What?
Yes, that apparently is a thing as well.
But only the loading character, not yourself. Okay.
Do you think the guy who's got the boat is just like, these kids are just constantly just running on my stuff? What the hell? Oh, you got the blaze flower.
PP level 3. I had to get rid of all the red dots.
Are they annoying you?
Red dots are evil. They must die. Turtle did it! Turtle's one of us. Your shipment is never coming. You still trying?
It's all annoying.
See you later. Alright, good night, Tank.
Where's the other one? Because I know there's 2.
Turtle's try guy has character maxed out. Don't you, Turtle? Good night, Tank. Hope you have a good evening.
It says it's meant to be. Right. So here. Did Turtle do it? Is Turtle under the water?
Where is Turtle? Maybe? I don't see him.
Oh no, I see.
There he is. He's stuck over here.
I'm gonna try with it.
A heavier character?
Yeah, I say it's just really weird because like you can get. I have been under that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how like because I really wanted to see if you could get to like in Azuma.
What is that?
In Azuma is the like kind of one of the next stages. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Maybe it's this side. Mm-hmm.
No. Oh well. Is it? Maybe you can't do it in co-op. Or no, you can do it in co-op. I've seen people do it in co-op. Can't get out because of my goddamn big head. My hat.
All right.
Oh, is there anything you want to like? Do you want to go against the big frame thing?
Sure. You lead the way. I probably need to change characters though.
Back to the ice planet.
Okay. I need to change characters though. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Because it's like 10 hours of us just trying to trying to finish it. It's just like
Yeah. So ice plant, right?
yeah.
Surely I should be due a growth spurt by now.
Turtle, level 90 character. Thought so. Okay, teleport to. Where are my friends at?
Done.
Where are my friends at? There you are. Y'all gonna have a beat before I even get there. I'm just here for giggles.
See, and then we'll do the fire one as well. Because then if we can chain them. Touch the flower.
I didn't touch it. Oh, let me touch it. No.
It might be because you just arrived as
Late. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't make it in time.
Yeah. If we go do the fire one, then we can come back and do that one.
Okay. So where's the firewood? Dun, 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 dun. Teleport. Hi. Uh-oh.
Where's Turtle?
Turtle!
Turtle's just like, I'm destroying everything in my path. For I
Where are we
am Sun."
supposed to be headed? Meow.
This one's quite easy. No, it's not quite easy, quite hard. Like compared to the other one.
Yeah.
giving me all the achievements.
Maybe. Mono! Hi, Vision Monstrosity! Hello, welcome.
Jean will be upset if she catches us lazy.
Next.
I love how all the characters are really like peppy, like, come on guys, let's go have a look. There's
Let's
something over that
go.
hill. We need to make sure it's gone. Come on guys, we can do this. The flowers
How
look
goes
like-
Image of Monstrosity? I hope you're doing awesome. How do I get to it now? Oh, you guys?
It's not back yet.
Oh.
Come on guys, we gotta do this. Alright Amber, calm it down.
Homesick, working didn't go well today. Oh no! Oh, did y'all teleport again? As soon as I teleport to where you were, you teleport again. I'm like, oh my god, I can't give up. You guys.
We're just kind of running around. I'm chasing Turtle.
Y'all are going really fast over running. Oh my gosh.
Why, thank you, Turtle.
You're headed to this thing. Amino Hostiasis.
We could take that one down if you wanted. Yeah, because I'm just thinking that you do get some sort of kind of points for it.
Can't teleport there though?
No, you'd have to go to the lowest part, which is... Actually, no, you could probably run across to it. So rather than teleport, just run to it. Although I'll need to change my character.
Turtle, that means wait. Don't start without us. Slacker. Uh-oh. Despite beating up ice plants.
I do love a shield. Bush.
So what kind of person are we fighting? What fight?
Wind.
Wind? So what's best against wind?
A placebo. They're just hitting it really hard.
Okay.
Oh, Yelan, yes. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
It's gone. For the moment.
Like...
Where's it gone?
It's dead.
No, it's back.
Hot dog. All the achievements are just like coming straight away.
Oh, my resin's gone. I shouldn't use the moon thing, should I? Should we keep those, right?
You can... No, it depends on if you're going to be doing a few. I just use 2 because I know that I'll probably get more later on. But if you wanted to do... Yeah, you can keep it.
Execute the moon things, okay.
What was the 2 achievements? Absorb.
Charlie with a Poketch.
See, now that if you're gonna wait, because if you're not gonna use the the moons,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like that you can't go back and redo the other ones, like the flowers that we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Yup. I'm basically done with that part. There we go. Mine 10 whole items. I got achievements though. What did I get? Extreme gardening.
Yeah, paralyze a cryo thing by attacking its craw, I think.
Look at my achievements. Completed 69.
Nice.
Yeah. 69 achievements.
So that's when it's like nice.
This one.
So it just depends on what you want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I can't really do much. Well, I can't really do much while you're in here. So I don't know if you want to do some more of the flowers, but then you'd have to use the moons.
Yeah, I probably need to level up my weapons and stuff now that I've ascended, right?
You can do it, but then you'd be looking at doing domain quests. So it depends if you want to use some of the moons, and then we can do some of them. Because there's 3 of us, and we can probably like.
I think I only have a couple. Let's see. How many moons did I have? I don't even remember where you look. 13.
Pouch. Yes, you've got 13. Up to you.
I don't know what I use them for anyway.
Recharge.
So if I use one more, I could do like 2 more.
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to do any more ascension stuff, or if you want to go into doing domains, it's up to you.
I think I ascended all but her, and I don't know how to get those.
Yeah. It depends if I've unlocked the
area.
realm. What do you think, Tail? Who do you think we should go for to do some weapons?
Speaking my name in humble supplication.
Comic Valberry. Assault Pillar. And the love Topaz fight with the bat. I don't know, you pick. You teleport. You tell us. Turtle's asleep. Teleport and we shall follow you. Where would you like to go next?
See, I have no idea which is the best for Chi-Chi.
Well, the next one is gonna be, what's her name for me, not Chi-Chi. Well, I guess maybe.
Who are you maining the most at the moment?
The next one is Noelle that I've been, those 4 For the ones I've been maining, Noelle needs to ascend next if I want to keep using Noelle. Unless I want to switch Noelle out for somebody, but I haven't decided who yet, so
Okay, well,
I'll probably just wait.
If you want to do Noelle, it depends if you want to do more weapons or if you want more artifacts.
Probably need to work on weapons, really, for these three. Probably for Chi-Chi.
So weapons you normally get quite randomly from
Yeah.
certain things. Like from wishes that I find more than anything. So I think you've got the prototype Rancor, which is mainly designed for, yeah, because you're doing physical bonus. I think it's more artifacts that we might need. Let me quickly check.
Yeah.
Chi-Chi.
Elemental skills has 40% chance to end its own. Should I switch their two weapons?
Created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, and the Prinzessin de
Apparently the best build is the... Okay, let me have a quick look.
Physical damage and attack base.
Is that set though? Okay, domain.
Need those things.
I hear the voice of fate, speaking my name in humble supplication.
Flower of the Accords. Flower of the Accords.
Kimono, want me to grind materials on your account for you? Just materials? You do the leveling and such on stream?
I created another universe and founded paradise.
Gonna head out, gonna sleep, and going to bed soon. Have a good stream, everyone. Good night! Where did it... What about
I don't think we can get her artifact build because I am way too low level.
Okay. We can go do 2 more battles and then I can call it, cause... Posture check, thank you! Fischl's other dress? Oh. Cute!
It's a lot nicer.
It is. It's cute. Check it out, artists. There's Fischl's other dress. It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. A little bit. With the heart in the middle. Kind of symbol.
Okay, so you need Noelle stuff, don't you?
Like the other one there.
What does Noelle need?
Imagine for secure verses may not be a good idea. Do I remember? Ah, yes, I do. Kingdom Hearts, yeah. That one's cute.
Okay, right. I know where we need to go.
Okay. Tell us.
We're going to...
What did you say?
Haven't you unlocked it yet?
I'm old.
Right.
So every other phrase escapes my ears. Try calling me.
Back to homework. Okay, good luck.
I do worry about the well-being of my retinue during my impromptu absence.
I'm sure the good people of the Adventurers Guild are absolutely fine, mein Fräulein.
We are teleporting to your location. Where did you go? Down in the water?
Kind of over the mountains. Because I haven't actually opened any of the domains in this area.
That squirrel looks stuck. What you think?
Hmm?
He just glitched out. There was a stuck squirrel. He glitched out.
That damn squirrel.
Mhm.
Apparently there are talking squirrels in this game.
Talking squirrels?
Yeah, it's on one of the events. The boat can talk as well, apparently, the Wave Rider.
Mm.
I hate the squirrel. I love squirrels in this game.
How did I
I
end
don't
up
know why
so
they, I don't know what they made like him talk. He's like,
I'll teleport again.
I've unlocked the teleport, but we're kind of not needing it.
I kind of needed it. Catch up with you guys.
Aha, we're almost there.
Cool.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Gonna fly off the top of that. Look at you go.
It's just because I don't think I've got enough stamina to reach over here.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, we could always do the fun ruin guard thing.
Hey, that was some kind of achievement.
Yeah, till death to his part. Probably like because it's the first time you've encountered one of them.
Probably. Oh, there's a gold thingy for you.
I'd mark these on your maps if you've not been to them, because it's always good to kind of know where they are.
A scholar's journey.
What happened?
I
You
got
died?
hit by one. Yeah, I got hit by one of those things. It just took me out. I was like, that's actually quite funny. It's like, no, you're not doing a puzzle.
There's the other piece.
One, two.
There you go.
I've probably not even done that.
I'm gonna go lay down. Gotta try to sleep for work Friday. I understand. I probably will be ending shortly too. Before we get done doing some stuff.
Yep, we're gonna do it. Okay, so it's over there.
Get some rest, Rain. Okay, so I can't do any damage because of this guy? Is that what's going on?
If I'd known, I would have come across. I wouldn't have actually swam.
Good night, Shane.
Awesome.
Yeah, I figured you wanted the treasure chest. Oh, I'll take the crab.
Okay, so shall we go across then?
Yeah. Flying, you're cheating.
I am just using my character's abilities.
I don't
to
know if I can swim that far. We'll find out.
If you do it at like small intervals. Apparently, there's a cheat, like a thing where if you press certain buttons, I think it's like run and W or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're using keyboard.
Yeah. Schmirgle escaped and no one caught it. Oh, thank you, Turtle.
You can do it, guys. You can do it.
He makes the ice bridge. Did you do that achievement before? Turtle helped me get that one time when you do the ice bridge and you go like this long area and...
Yeah. I think...
Oh, I need to heal. Maybe you do too. Oh well.
I think you would really like Ayaka. I can see you maining her.
I have to really know which one she is.
The one that Turtle's using.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm having no effect whatsoever. Love that.
Yeah, I forgot. It's Geo characters are the best for this area.
Yeah.
Damn, look at Noel's power there. Fuck. It's me not scratching it. I did it, guys.
Right, we got the achievement. Woo!
Participation trophy, guys. Thank you, Turtle.
Oh, I needed one of those.
Yes, you need 2 for Noel.
Noelle, yeah. I may need to reset my game. I can't remember how to play anymore. Oh no, don't do that.
Now, do you want a fun challenge?
Yeah.
While we wait for the thing to kind of recharge.
Yeah? Where to?
Let me go find them. Oh, fucking trolls everywhere. I don't know where the red dot is. Find the red dot. Find the evil red dot. I don't know. Okay, where is it?
I have
the turtle just comes in, just like one swipe of the blade. And it's just like, boom.
And I'm just being hit with coins and XP, and I'm just walking around and they're attacking me. There's another shiny thing on the wall. You collect those?
Oh, I don't collect them. Where is it? Where I'm looking for? Too slow. It's the massive. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, there it is. Oh, what was that? Oh, Ganyu. Love Ganyu.
There's a chest.
So, there is a thing in this game, like if you mark it on your map,
Mm-hmm.
It's taking out the ruin guards, and there's like a ton of them.
If I find the resetting, I can always get back to my current point again.
Just reset the password. So if you ever need a cause or anything for this, this is the best way if you want to quickly do it.
Okay. You said I should mark this area on my map.
Yeah.
Once we get there. Oh, right here. Okay. Okay. So mark it as I don't know. Can I mark it? Yeah, that works. Confirm.
Yeah, God tell. Like 2-shot kill. Holy shit. I've not even seen anyone take that down.
Turtle plays as much as you do, if not more.
Yeah, but like Turtle does a lot more than I could do with Ganyu. Oh, why thank you, Turtle. Yeah, if you pick up all the cores, at least you've got a good hearty go. All I can just see is just literally Turtle absolutely annihilating
everything.
all of it. Like
It is bad.
Yeah.
And finding all the treasure chests. I think one stream I did nothing but follow Turtle as he went through all the chests. Do we all get this stuff?
You get the stuff on the ground, not in the chest though.
Yeah.
The chests are locked to.
But I mean, does everybody get the stuff on the ground, or am I just hogging it?
Oh no, everyone gets it, so it
okay.
is me.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Coming into my world, taking all my things.
That's what I was wondering. I didn't want to take all your things. I was like feeling guilty here. I was like, oh no.
Nah, to be fair, I wouldn't really mind if you guys wanted to take anything from the world. This way.
Lots of blood signs. Do you wanna fight?
We could try back and see if that thing's back. There we go. Quick check. How do I even get there? How do I fucking get there? I was like, oh, I'll teleport. It'll be like 2 minutes. I don't know where it is. Oh,
yeah. Map. Player 1. Teleport.
Where am I? Okay, that way.
Hey, look, it's those flowers I was trying to find earlier. Jeez.
Go get them.
Violets. Did you swim across again?
Yep, it's back. I only have like one Geo character, and I bet even though I've like got nothing set up. it's here, ready to go.
Yeah, so we just gotta find you.
Yeah.
Get out of the tree. Turtle. I'm lost. There we go. Why does it keep saying there's something I need in here? Oh. Turtle's still a ways away. I think he's headed this way though.
I really wish like there's a way to just max out the
Did he stop? He may have stepped away.
Hmm?
Turtle may have stepped away for a second. Character's not moving yet.
Okay.
So don't start yet, or we'll.
Oh no, I literally know I couldn't do anything.
You seem tired. Would you like some tea? I'll brew you some. Do you take sugar? 1 cube or 2?
I like Noel. Like, I love her character design.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty cool.
I think her character design stands out a lot than most of in Genshin.
Turtle, 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 where'd you go? Fight with us! I'm gonna go beat up that chest.
The one, yeah. Hang on, just let me switch the character.
Oh, it came after us. Wow. Get his butt while he's focusing his shield on you.
You kind of think these monsters would be like, shit, not actually doing anything. It's like, no.
Need them closer. Yeah. Let's see.
Late from regret. See, I don't know why he'd be a fire one. Just like, oh, I'm fire, so I'm just gonna hang out by the water.
Yeah. Gonna put himself out here.
Oh, there's one hilly curl. I was like, I'm just gonna sleep. wonder what Turtle's doing.
I don't know. He fell asleep.
Oh, he's
Oh,
like,
he left.
he's like, fuck no.
Yeah, I had to go do something else, I guess.
Yeah.
Got your treasure chest. I just don't. Do you think we could fight it? Probably not, or maybe.
Probably not, because I know my Noel's not that great. What's... Well, we could try it with your Noel if you want.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Puzzles and caught by KimonoKat. The Noel. And who should I? Noel.
So yeah, you have 3 characters than I do.
3 characters that what? That you don't have or do have?
No, like in this one you've got 3 more characters than... So you've got 3 Geo characters.
Oh. I switched to the wrong one.
Hmm?
How did I do that?
What?
I changed that one to Noel. I want this one to be Noel.
Always up there, isn't it?
What am I doing wrong? Oh, because I get 2 characters now. Duh.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Where are you?
Hmm.
I'll catch up.
Way back here somewhere. Doing things and stuff. I need that. Are you spitting stuff at me? From way up there? Oh, jeez.
It's just one of those things where I was just like, where are you? Let's unleash the fire.
So, Chi-Chi and Noel, or should I pick somebody else besides Chi-Chi? Turtle, you left!
You can always come back.
Shy
if you
hands?
want.
Yeah. You can come back and help us kick this boss's butt. Someone disconnected the Wi-Fi? No! What were you saying?
We can try it with any. Doesn't matter. I've only
Okay.
got 1 character of Geo, so
Okay, so should I use 2 of Geo then?
might be worth it.
Leave it to
don't
me.
have a
All of it. Whatever it is.
Even though Chi-Chi's small.
Exactly is
Don't think.
it. I didn't quite catch your request.
Do you have it? Thanks.
Right.
I don't know. I've never used Turbo before. She's probably got crappy everything.
Ling 1.
Yeah, we can try though. I don't know. It's a test.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You ready?
Yeah.
If we die wholeheartedly, then
You love her? Nice.
I must leave no stone unturned. Leave it up to me.
I want to play her now. Oh,
Just keep going.
okay. On this cube thing. Until it reforms again. There.
I must leave no stone unturned. Time to clean up.
Just,
Where
can I
did
just
it
heal
go?
myself a little bit? Oh no shit! Do it. Come back in. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Burn turtle.
Am I supposed to be fighting the same one you are, or does it matter?
Try and take him down. But yeah, turtle. If you join again, sorry,
Someone needs assistance.
I hit the wrong button.
They still need me.
I got an achievement. Turtle is trying to enter your world.
I am a disgrace to the lights. Steady as stone.
I got absolutely whammed. And, oh shit!
No.
I fucking hate running over here.
Power core. Someone needs assistance.
Yay!
Oh no! If I can get there.
Oh no. Where were you?
I had to revive myself.
Oh no, so you died.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I'm gonna drown die.
No, don't drown, die.
Am I on the? Yeah. All right. Luckily, like Wander, I can float over. It just takes so long.
There you go, artist.
Swim, Wanderer, swim. You can do this. Oh no, he's gonna die again. Dead.
Don't waste my time. Feel the beat.
Wanderer.
Is that a shield? Let's go.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, that stops. I don't know what the one does actually.
Shaman working over. Did he kill you?
Give up.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I bet the thing's. Oh no, that can see it.
Did it let you do it?
Yeah. Boom. 21.
Yay! We did it! Goals achieved. All I heard were cat noises. I don't know.
I must leave no stone unturned.
looks cool. Just makes you want to go through it, but I'm guessing it's like a shield.
I think it kind of is, or it boosts attack or something like that.
Well, I think that is it for my stream, guys. I'm gonna call it. So, give me 5 seconds. Oh, I got an achievement. What achievement did I get this time? Oh, I got 3. Juggernaut. All kinds of stuff. Look at that. Getting all those gems. Only need a gazillion more.
How much do you have for do you have enough for a temple?
No, you have enough for one, I don't think.
Really? Oh darn.
I don't. I don't have anything because I didn't. Yeah, because I used them all last night.
You know what this means then, don't you?
I gotta play or do that $5 thing.
You don't have to.
Let's see. Alright. Alright. Thank you, stream. Thank you, thank you. Mission complete. Oh, whose mission? Your mission?
Me.
Yay.
Me.
$5 foot long? That's $12.94. Oh god. Yeah, remember when they were $5? That's not a thing anymore.
What, a foot long was like what? 5?
A Subway, $5 foot long used to be their advertisement. Now it's like $12.94. $5 foot long subs. It used to be a commercial.
I miss Subway. It's like I miss it so much.
Do you not have one?
They banned every single Subway because they found out that the bread wasn't bread. That it was actually made of sawdust.
Oh.
I'm joking.
What? I was so confused. You had me believing you.
You go into work the next day and just be like, do you know they banned Subway in the UK?
It's made of sawdust. I'm never eating it again.
Yeah, like, what is it?
No. I don't know. She can't do that to Mono. She's gullible. Artist is right. You can't do that to me. I'll believe you.
I think I'm gonna make loads of stuff up next time.
No.
Really, really believable.
Alright. I know nothing. Alright, though. Thank you, artist. Thank you, Turtle. Thank you, everyone lurking. Lady Rain. Thank all of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna end stream now, and I will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye, Earlum. Bye, Myrtle.
In a trade war, the perfect hunter leaves